Before COVID-19, there was another illness with a lot of unknowns. We're talking about Rat Lungworm Disease. It's a parasite that can infect snails and slugs, and when ingested by a human, it attacks your brain. And this Thursday on PBS Hawaii, the debut of a documentary featuring a Maui man who ended up contracting rat lungworm. Joining us now is Leokāne Pryor. Leokāne, thank you so much for joining us.
Aloha. Thank you for having me.
I remember reaching out to you years ago, and at the time, you were living in Hana. So take me back to 2017 when you learned about your symptoms.
Let's see. Probably in the early March of 2017, I started to feel ill, and nothing really bad. Just a chronic headache, a slight fever every day. But then stranger things started to happen, where I felt itching in my skin, which was moving around. And so I kept going to the local clinic, trying to figure out what this was, and it just wouldn't go away. So they started to test me for, to see if it was bacterial or the flu and that type of thing. And none of that came back. So it was really a mystery until, luckily, I was seen at Maui Memorial, and they did a spinal tap and figured out that I had contracted Rat Lungworm Disease.
Did you even know what that was when the doctor told you, Leokane, you have rat lungworm?
No, I really didn't know. I was lucky because a day before I went to the hospital or two, a friend of mine in Hana had seen or read an article about a strange illness on Hawaii Island, happening in the Pahoa area especially. And she said, I don't want to scare you, but it sounds like your symptoms are similar. And I had never heard of it before. I'd never heard of the disease. Of course, I lived in Hana, so I was, not even reading a newspaper. But at any rate, so I was very lucky that a friend of mine in Hana, who was a recently retired infectious disease doctor, I called him up, and he asked to see if I had blood work done. And I said, yeah, recently at the clinic. So he looked at that and said, yeah, we're going to go to Maui Memorial for sure, because your eosinophil count is too high. It would show signs of parasitic infection. And then I thought, oh my gosh, but I still didn't know anything about the illness.
Wow. Do you know how you contracted it? And I also want to ask, how has rat lungworm disease changed your life?
Oh my goodness. I contracted it by, it is something you get by eating a slug or a snail, usually. And at the time, I was exclusively in Hana. I wasn't traveling anywhere, and I ate off the land, in terms of picking fruit from my banana trees and going to the local farmers markets and eating at all the food stands. So I was only eating fresh produce and fruits in Hana. So I know I ingested some sort of a baby, probably a semi-slug, because they're so small you can't see them. I was in so much pain, particularly my skin. Nothing could touch my skin. I lost motor control. I couldn't think of words. I couldn't use the restroom. It was just really terrible. And the road to recovery for me was long. It was a couple of years into it. I still had severe nerve pain, especially in not severe, but very uncomfortable in my body. And that's what brought me to California to go to UCLA. And that's where I had the pleasure, thankfully, of meeting Dr. Claire Panosian and the film that she's made on Rat Lungworm Disease. I wanted to be a part of this film, and now, years later, to share this, because most importantly, I don't want anybody else to get it. And the film is a wonderful way, I think, to raise awareness again. COVID, of course, has been everywhere and in so much of our minds and thoughts, but this illness is still out there in Hawaii.
And I'm so happy to see that you look happy and well today.
Mahalo, Brigette. Thank you.
Accidental Host, the story of rat lungworm disease. It airs this Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. and again this Sunday at 2 p.m. and that's on PBS Hawaii. Gina, over to you.